Jinho Park stared at the navigation screen and frowned. The blinking red dot should not be there. Nothing was supposed to be in this part of space. He leaned back in his pilot chair and scratched his chin. "What is that?" asked Tae-yang from the co-pilot seat. His fingers danced across his control panel trying to get more information. "Looks like a distress signal," Jinho said. He felt his stomach tighten. Distress signals usually meant trouble, but they also meant someone needed help. The Morning Star was a cargo ship, not a rescue vessel. They were supposed to deliver supplies to the mining colonies on the outer rim. They were already behind schedule. Jinho knew the company would be angry if they stopped. "We should report it to the authorities," Tae-yang said. He looked worried. "This area is restricted. We could get in trouble." Jinho did not answer right away. He thought about his wife and daughter. They died 5 years ago when their colony had an accident. No one came to help them in time. He still had nightmares about it. "Set a course for that signal," Jinho said finally. "Jinho, this is a bad idea," Tae-yang protested, but he was already entering the coordinates. He had known Jinho for 10 years. When Jinho made up his mind, nothing could change it. They found the wreckage floating near a large asteroid. The ship was unlike anything Jinho had ever seen. It looked almost alive, with smooth curves and strange patterns on its surface. Parts of it glowed with a soft blue light. "That is definitely not human technology," Tae-yang whispered. His eyes were wide with fear and excitement. Jinho guided the Morning Star closer. The wreckage had a big hole in one side. Through his window he could see inside. Something moved in there. "Someone is alive in there," Jinho said. He stood up and grabbed his spacesuit from the locker. "I am going in." "You are crazy," Tae-yang muttered, but he started preparing the airlock anyway. Inside the alien ship, Jinho moved carefully. The air was thin but breathable. Emergency lights flickered, casting strange shadows. The walls felt warm under his gloved hands, as if the ship was still alive somehow. He found her in what looked like a cell. She was small, maybe the size of a teenager. At first, Jinho thought she was human. She had 2 arms, 2 legs, a face with 2 eyes and a mouth. But then he saw the marks on her skin. They glowed softly like the patterns on the ship, pulsing with a faint blue light. She was unconscious. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Jinho saw bruises on her arms and cuts on her face. Around her wrists were marks like she had been tied up for a long time. "Hello?" Jinho said softly. "Can you hear me?" The girl did not respond. Jinho checked her pulse. It was there, but weak. He needed to get her back to his ship quickly. He picked her up carefully. She was lighter than he expected. As he carried her through the wreckage, he noticed more things that made him uneasy. The cell had heavy locks on the outside. There were other cells too, all empty. This was not a passenger ship. This was a prison. Back on the Morning Star, Tae-yang helped Jinho lay the girl on the medical bed in their small infirmary. Jinho started treating her wounds while Tae-yang scanned her with their medical equipment. "Her biology is close to human, but not quite," Tae-yang said, reading the results. "I have never seen anything like this." Jinho cleaned the cuts on her face. As he worked, the girl suddenly opened her eyes. They were a deep purple color, beautiful and strange. She looked at Jinho and gasped. She tried to sit up and pull away from him. "It is okay," Jinho said in a calm voice. "You are safe now. I am not going to hurt you." The girl said something in a language Jinho did not understand. Her voice was shaking with fear. She looked around the room like a trapped animal, searching for an escape. Tae-yang activated the universal translator. The device started analyzing her words, but it was having trouble. The language was too different from anything in its database. Jinho slowly reached out his hand, palm up, showing he had no weapons. The girl stared at his hand for a long moment. Then very carefully she touched it with her fingertips. Her skin felt warm. "We are friends," Jinho said, pointing to himself and then to Tae-yang. "Friends," the translator finally beeped. It had picked up one phrase from the girl. The mechanical voice said, "They are coming for all of us." Before Jinho could ask what she meant, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Tae-yang ran to the control room and then shouted back, "We have company. 3 military ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They are heading straight for us." Jinho ran to the cockpit. On the screen, he could see the sleek military vessels. They were much faster and better armed than his cargo ship. A voice came through the communication system. "Cargo vessel Morning Star. This is Commander Yu Jin of the Earth Defense Force. You are harboring a dangerous alien entity. Surrender the asset immediately or be fired upon. Jin-Ho looked back toward the infirmary. Through the doorway, he could see the girl. She was standing now, trembling, her glowing marks pulsing faster. She looked terrified. Asset? Jin-Ho said. She is a person, not an asset. What are we going to do? Tae-Yang asked. Sweat was running down his face. Jin-Ho had to make a choice. He could hand over the girl and go back to his normal life. The military probably had a good reason for wanting her. It was the smart thing to do. But Jin-Ho remembered the bruises on her arms. He remembered the prison cell. He thought about his wife and daughter and how no one helped them when they needed it. He made his decision. Hold on to something, Jin-Ho said to Tae-Yang. He pushed the engine controls to maximum power. We are running. Are you insane? Tae-Yang shouted, but he was already strapping himself in. The Morning Star accelerated hard. Jin-Ho aimed for the nearby nebula, a thick cloud of gas and dust where sensors would not work well. Behind them, the military ships gave chase, firing warning shots that lit up the darkness. Jin-Ho flew like he had never flown before. He dove between asteroids, used gravity to slingshot around rocks, and pushed his ship to its limits. Tae-Yang frantically worked on the systems, rerouting power and keeping the engines from exploding. They made it into the nebula just as a missile streaked past their hull. Inside the thick clouds, visibility dropped to almost nothing. Jin-Ho cut the engines and let the ship drift silently. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. The military ships searched for them, but the nebula was too thick. After what felt like hours but was probably only 20 minutes, the ships gave up and left. Tae-Yang let out a long breath. I cannot believe we just did that. We are fugitives now. We can never go home. Jin-Ho looked at his hands. They were shaking. What had he done? He had thrown away his entire life for a stranger. A stranger who was not even human. The girl appeared in the doorway of the cockpit. She was still scared, but she looked at Jin-Ho differently now. She seemed to understand what he had sacrificed for her. She spoke again, and this time the translator caught more words. Thank you, it said in its mechanical voice. You saved me. But now, we are all in great danger. Jin-Ho stood up and faced her. Who are you? Why are they hunting you? The girl looked out at the swirling clouds of the nebula. When she spoke, her words sent chills down Jin-Ho's spine. My name is Hana, she said, and I need to tell you a secret about your species. A secret that will change everything. 3 days had passed since they escaped into the nebula. Jin-Ho found a hidden mining station on the far edge of the star system. The station was old and mostly abandoned, with only a few miners left who did not ask questions. It was the perfect place to hide. Hana was getting better. Her wounds were healing faster than Jin-Ho expected. The glowing marks on her skin seemed to pulse when she was awake, fading when she slept. She spent most of her time in the small quarters they rented, watching Jin-Ho and Tae-Yang with careful eyes. Jin-Ho brought her food from the station canteen. At first, she did not want to eat. Then very slowly, she took a bite of bread. Her eyes went wide with surprise. Good? Jin-Ho asked, smiling. Hana nodded. She said something in her language. The translator was learning faster now. Good, it repeated. Thank you. Every day Jin-Ho taught her human words. He pointed at things and said their names. Table, chair, water, sky. Hana repeated each word carefully. She learned incredibly fast. By the second day, she could speak simple sentences. By the third day, she was having basic conversations. Tae-Yang noticed it too. This is not normal, he whispered to Jin-Ho when Hana was asleep. No one learns that fast. What is she? Jin-Ho did not know, but he was determined to find out. On the fourth day, Hana finally started to tell her story. They sat together in the small room. Jin-Ho and Tae-Yang listened carefully as Hana spoke in her still uncertain human words. My people are called Valorians, she said. We are very old. We came before almost all other life in the galaxy. She pulled out a small device from her pocket. It was the only thing she had brought from the wrecked ship. When she touched it, the device projected a hologram in the air. Jin-Ho and Tae-Yang gasped. The hologram showed a tree made of light. But it was not a normal tree. It had countless branches, each one splitting into more branches stretching out in all directions. Each branch had symbols and pictures floating around it. This is the probability tree, Hana explained. It shows all possible futures. My people can see these futures. We can see what will happen before it happens. You can see the future? Taeyang asked. He looked skeptical. Hana shook her head. Not exactly. We see probabilities, many different futures at once. Most species follow predictable paths. They grow, they spread, they reach a certain point, and then they stop or decline. It always follows a pattern. She touched the hologram again, zooming in on different branches. Jinho saw images of various alien species he had heard about. Each one had a smooth, graceful branch that curved in predictable ways. Then Hana zoomed in on one particular branch. This one was different. It was jagged and chaotic, shooting off in wild directions that made no sense. It looked like it was trying to break free from the tree itself. This is humanity, Hana said quietly. Jinho stared at the chaotic branch. What do you mean? Humans are impossible, Hana said. According to every prediction, every probability calculation, humans should have died out thousands of years ago. Your planet was too dangerous, your species too weak, too violent with each other. But you did not die. You survived. And then you thrived. You broke every rule. Taeyang laughed nervously. So we are lucky? No, Hana said seriously. Luck follows probability. You broke probability itself. When my people try to predict what humans will do, the calculations fail. You create outcomes that should not be possible. You make choices that make no logical sense, and somehow those choices work. Jinho thought about this. Is that why the military wanted you? Because you know this about us? Hana looked down at her hands. Her marks glowed brighter. It is more complicated than that. The Valorians formed something called the Council long ago. The Council manages the galaxy. They keep things in order. They make sure species follow their proper paths. Manages, Jinho asked. What does that mean? Sometimes if a species becomes too dangerous or unpredictable, the Council corrects them. They create problems that look natural. Wars, diseases, accidents. The species either learns to follow the right path or disappears. The room went very quiet. Jinho felt cold. Are you saying the Council has been manipulating us? Causing disasters? Hana nodded slowly. For decades, yes. But nothing works on humans. You always survive. You always adapt. The Council is terrified of you. They have been studying humans, trying to understand what makes you different. Taeyang stood up and started pacing. This is insane. You are telling us there is some secret organization controlling the entire galaxy? Yes, Hana said simply. And now they have decided humans are too dangerous to exist. They are planning something big, something that will destroy all of humanity at once. Jinho felt sick to his stomach. His wife and daughter flashed through his mind. The colony accident, the one where my family died. Was that the Council? Hana looked at him with sad eyes. She checked something on her device, reading through data. After a moment, she nodded. I am sorry, yes, that colony was an experiment. They wanted to see if humans would give up after losing so many people. But you did not. You rebuilt. Jinho had to sit down. His hands were shaking. All these years he thought it was just bad luck. Just an accident, but it was murder. Planned, deliberate murder. Why are you telling us this? He asked. Why did you run from them? Hana took a deep breath. Because I am not fully Valorian. I am a hybrid. Half Valorian, half human. The room went silent again. Taeyang stopped pacing and stared at her. That is impossible, Taeyang said. How the Council created us. About 20 years ago, they started an experiment. They wanted to understand human probability-breaking ability, so they combined human DNA with Valorian DNA. They created hybrids. I am one of them. Hana touched her glowing marks. These marks are Valorian. They let me see probabilities. But inside I am human too. I can break those probabilities. The Council thought they could control us, use us as weapons, but we were too unpredictable. We started questioning their orders. Some of us even helped humans escape from their experiments. So they decided to kill you all, Jinho said. Yes. I escaped, but there are others still trapped. And the Council is about to do something terrible to humanity, something final. Before anyone could say anything else, the door burst open. Commander Yujin stood there with 2 soldiers, weapons drawn. Jinho jumped to his feet, putting himself between the soldiers and Hana. Do not move, Yujin commanded. But then she looked at Hana, really looked at her, and something changed in her expression. She lowered her weapon slightly. Wait, what did you just say about the Council? Hana stood up slowly, her hands raised. You know about them. Yujin nodded slowly. I am part of a special intelligence unit. We have suspected for years that someone was manipulating human affairs. Technologies that fail mysteriously. Colonies that have convenient accidents. Peace talks that always fall apart. We could never prove it. But you are saying it is real? It is all real, Hana said. And it is much worse than you think. Yujin looked at her soldiers and then made a decision. She holstered her weapon. Tell me everything. Every detail. For the next hour, Hana explained everything. She showed them the probability tree. She showed them records of council interventions throughout human history. She showed them the plans for the upcoming attack on humanity. Yujin listened to it all, her face growing more serious with each revelation. Finally, she spoke. We need to get this information to the resistance on Earth. There is a group there led by someone named Daehyun. They have been gathering evidence for years. With what you know, we might actually have a chance to stop this. The Council has declared humanity a threat, Hana said. They will be watching Earth closely. Getting there will be dangerous, Yujin smiled grimly. Everything worth doing is dangerous. Besides, if what you are saying is true, staying here is just as deadly as going to Earth. Jinho looked at Hana. She looked back at him and nodded. They had come this far together. They would see it through to the end. When do we leave? Jinho asked. Now, Yujin said. The Council probably already knows where we are. Every minute we wait gives them time to prepare. They gathered their few belongings quickly. As they prepared to leave the mining station, Hana pulled Jinho aside. Thank you, she said quietly. For saving me. For believing me. For everything. Jinho put a hand on her shoulder. You are part of my crew now. We protect our own, Hana smiled. It was the first real smile he had seen from her. For a moment she looked like any normal girl, not a hybrid caught between two worlds, but then her expression became serious again. Jinho, there is something else you should know. The Council is powerful. They have been controlling the galaxy for thousands of years. They have never lost. Never failed. Jinho thought about everything he had learned. About his family. About all the humans who had died in the Council's experiments. About the probability tree and humanity's impossible branch. Then I guess it is time someone taught them what losing feels like, he said. They walked out of the station together, heading toward Yujin's ship. Above them the stars shone bright in the darkness. Somewhere out there the Council was watching, planning, preparing to destroy humanity. But Jinho was not afraid anymore, because he finally understood what made humans special. It was not strength or intelligence or technology. It was the simple, stubborn refusal to accept the impossible. And if the Council thought they had seen human stubbornness before, they had not seen anything yet. The journey to Earth took 5 days. Jinho flew the Morning Star while Yujin's military escort ships formed a protective formation around them. Every few hours they had to change course to avoid Council patrol vessels. The enemy was everywhere, searching. During the long flights between jumps, Hana taught Jinho about probability fields. She showed him how to sense them, like a sixth sense in the back of his mind. Close your eyes, she told him one evening in the cockpit. Feel the space around you. Not with your body, but with your mind, Jinho tried. At first he felt nothing. Then slowly he began to sense something strange. It was like invisible threads stretching out in all directions, connecting everything to everything else. I feel something, he said, his eyes still closed. Like a web. That is the probability field, Hana said excitedly. Most humans cannot feel it at all. But you can. You have always been using it without knowing. When you make those impossible choices, you are touching these threads. Jinho opened his eyes. Is that how we survived in the nebula? How I knew which way to fly. Yes, you did not calculate the best path. You felt it. And then you broke the calculations by choosing a path that should not work but did. Tae-yang, who had been listening from his station, shook his head in wonder. So we have been breaking physics this whole time? Not breaking, Hana corrected. Creating new possibilities. Physics still works. You just find ways around it that no one else can see. While Hana trained Jinho, Tae-yang worked on something else. He had been analyzing the data from Hana's device, the one that showed the probability tree. What he found made his blood run cold. Jinho, you need to see this, he called out. They gathered around Tae-yang's screen. He showed them files buried deep in the device's memory. Files about something called the correction protocol. The Council has not just been stopping dangerous species, Tae-yang explained. They have been actively engineering. Conflicts between species for thousands of years, wars, economic collapses, plagues, all carefully designed to keep everyone weak and fighting each other. Eugen leaned closer to the screen. Why? What do they gain from that? Control, Hana said quietly. If species are always struggling, always barely surviving, they never have time to question the council. They never unite. They stay predictable. Tae-yang scrolled through more files. There is worse. Every species that ever showed signs of probability breaking like humans, they were all destroyed. The council disguised it as natural disasters or civil wars, but it was always them. The screen showed a list of extinct civilizations, hundreds of them, each one marked with a red symbol that meant probability anomaly, terminated. Jin-ho felt sick. How many? 473 species, Tae-yang said. All gone. All because they showed the same gift that humans have. Eugen's face was pale. And now it is our turn. Yes, Hana said. The council has scheduled what they call a probability correction event for humanity. It is already planned. In less than 3 weeks, they will activate probability anchors around all human worlds simultaneously. These anchors will lock reality into a predetermined outcome, an outcome where humanity ceases to exist. The cockpit was silent except for the hum of the engines. Jin-ho thought about Earth, about the billions of people living normal lives not knowing that their extinction had already been scheduled. We have to warn them, he said. We have to get this information to Earth. That is why we are going to Daehyun, Eugen said. His resistance cell has the infrastructure to spread this information. If we can prove what the council has been doing, we might be able to unite humanity before the attack. They finally reached Earth on the 6th day. The blue planet looked beautiful from space, peaceful and unaware. Jin-ho had not been home in years. Seeing it now, knowing what was coming, made his chest hurt. Eugen's ships used their military clearance to get them past orbital security. They landed in Seoul, in a private hangar connected to the underground tunnels. From there, they traveled deep beneath the city. Daehyun's resistance headquarters was hidden in an old subway station that had been abandoned for decades. When they arrived, Jin-ho was surprised to see how many people were there. Hundreds of them, working on computers, analyzing data, planning operations. Daehyun himself was a tall man in his 50s with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had been a government scientist once, before he discovered evidence of the council's manipulation. Now he dedicated his life to exposing them. He listened to their story without interruption. When they finished, he sat back in his chair and was quiet for a long moment. I have suspected this for 20 years, he said finally, but I never had proof. Now you bring me not just proof but a witness from inside the council itself. He looked at Hana with respect. You are very brave. Hana looked uncomfortable. I am just trying to stop them from killing more people. Daehyun turned to his team. Show them the testimony archive. A large screen lit up showing thousands of video files. We have been collecting these for years, Daehyun explained. Testimonies from people across the galaxy, members of other species who questioned their governments, scientists who found impossible patterns in historical data, survivors of disasters who swear they saw something strange before it happened. He played one video. It showed an elderly alien with blue skin, speaking in a translator. Our world was at peace. Then suddenly our leaders started fighting. They argued about things that made no sense. Within a year we were at war. I always thought it was strange how fast it happened, like someone flipped a switch. Another video showed a human woman. My research showed a pattern. Every 50 years something terrible happens to humanity. An epidemic, a war, a natural disaster. The timing is too perfect. It cannot be coincidence. Daehyun turned off the screen. We have 5,000 testimonies like this, all pointing to the same conclusion. Someone is manipulating galactic events, but without hard evidence, no government would listen to us. They called us conspiracy theorists, crazy. But now we have hard evidence, Eugen said. Hana's device contains complete records of council operations. Yes, Daehyun said. And that changes everything. We can finally go public with this. We can warn humanity before it is too late, but Hana looked worried. The council will not let us share this information. They are watching Earth closely. The moment we try to broadcast this, they will know. They will move up their timeline. Then we need to be smart about it, Tae-yang said. We spread the information quietly at first. Person to person. Build a network. Then, when we are ready, we release everything at once. Overwhelm their ability to suppress it. Daehyun nodded. That could work. We have contacts across human space. We can start distributing the data now. He paused. But there is something else you all need to know. He pulled up another file on his screen. 2 days ago, we intercepted a council communication. They mentioned something called the Final Protocol. We did not know what it meant. But now, with Hana's information, we can decode it. The decoded message appeared on the screen. Jinho read it and felt his stomach drop. The message said, "Human probability breaking ability confirmed to be transmissible. Hybrid project proves contagion theory. All hybrids must be terminated. All human genetic material must be eliminated. No samples can survive. Final protocol authorized. Total extinction required." Hana put her hand over her mouth. Tears started running down her face. They are afraid. Not just of humans, but of what happens if other species learn from you. If your probability breaking spreads. The hybrids prove it is possible, Jinho said, understanding. You inherited human abilities. That means other species could too. Exactly, Hana whispered. The Council has controlled the galaxy by keeping everyone predictable. But if humanity's gift spreads, if other species learn to break probability, the Council's power ends forever. That is why they want to kill every human, every hybrid. Anyone who might teach others. Daehyun stood up. Then we are not just fighting for human survival. We are fighting for the freedom of every species in the galaxy. If we can stop the Council, we can free everyone from their control. Jinho looked around the room at all the people working, all the people who had risked everything to resist the Council. He thought about his wife and daughter, about all the families that had been destroyed by the Council's experiments, about the 473 extinct species whose only crime was being unpredictable. He thought about Hana, a girl caught between two worlds who chose to betray her creators to save innocent lives, about Yu Jin, who risked her career to chase the truth, about Tai Yang, who stayed loyal even when it meant becoming a fugitive, about Daehyun and his resistance, who never gave up even when everyone called them crazy. This was what made humans special. Not just probability breaking, but the choice to help others even at great cost to themselves. The refusal to accept injustice. The stubborn belief that impossible things could be made possible through effort and courage. How much time do we have? Jinho asked. Daehyun checked his computer. According to the timeline in Hana's data, the Council fleet will arrive in 17 days. The probability anchors will activate immediately after. We have 17 days to prepare humanity for the biggest. 14 days had passed. The resistance had spread the truth across human space. Millions of people now knew about the Council. Governments were in chaos. Some wanted to surrender. Others wanted to fight. Most did not know what to believe. Jinho stood in the resistance headquarters watching news feeds from across Earth and the colonies. Every screen showed the same thing: panic, confusion, and fear. We are losing them, Daehyun said. He looked exhausted. People are scared. They want someone to tell them everything will be okay, but we cannot promise that. Tae Yang was working at his computer station, his fingers flying over the keyboard. The Council fleet just entered the solar system. 3 massive ships, bigger than anything I have ever seen. And they are broadcasting something. He put the transmission on the main screen. A Valorian appeared, ancient and imposing. Its eyes glowed with the same light as Hana's marks, but brighter, colder. I am Executor Prime of the Council, the being said. Its voice was calm, almost kind, which made it more terrifying. We come to offer humanity a choice. Submit to guided evolution and your species will survive. Refuse and face extinction within 48 hours. You have seen the evidence. You know we have eliminated 473 species before you. Do not make us add humanity to that list. The transmission ended. The headquarters was silent. Everyone was staring at the screen. Guided evolution, Eugene said bitterly. They mean slavery. They will control every aspect of human development. Turn us into obedient sheep. Hana was shaking. Those 3 ships are probability anchors. Each one can lock reality within an entire star system. When they activate together, they will create a predetermined outcome, an outcome where humanity no longer exists. How does it work? Jinho asked. The anchors calculate every possible future and then force reality to follow one specific future. In this case, a future where all humans die. It does not matter what you do. The anchors will make it happen. Ships will malfunction. Life support will fail. Diseases will spread. Anything necessary to achieve the predetermined outcome. Tai Yang looked at his screens. So we are doomed? There is nothing we can do? Daehyun shook his head. No, there is always something we can do. We just need to think differently. Jinho looked at Hana. You said the anchors calculate futures and force reality to follow them. But what if reality becomes impossible to calculate? Hana's eyes widened. You mean create so much probability chaos that the anchors cannot process it? Exactly, Jinho said. You told me humans break probability naturally. What if we do it on purpose? All of us at the same time? Taeyang jumped up excitedly. A chaos event. If billions of humans all make completely unpredictable choices simultaneously, the anchors would have to calculate infinite possible futures. They would overload. Hana was thinking hard, her marks pulsing rapidly. It could work. The anchors are designed to handle normal probability variations. But human-level chaos, multiplied by billions, they were never designed for that. They would destabilize. Daehyun started pacing. How do we coordinate this? How do we get billions of people to act randomly at the exact same moment? We broadcast instructions, Yujin said. Tell people to break their routines. Do something they have never done before. Make choices purely on impulse. At a specific time, everyone acts together. Will people do it? Taeyang asked. It sounds crazy. They will if they understand it is our only chance, Daehyun said. We have already spread the truth about the council. People believe us now. If we tell them this is how to fight back, they will do it. They worked through the night preparing the chaos event. Taeyang built probability disruptors based on Hana's knowledge. Small devices that would amplify human probability breaking. They would not be powerful, but they would help. Yujin coordinated with her military contacts. Not all of them believed in the plan, but enough did. Ships were prepared for a diversionary assault. It would probably fail, but it would keep the council distracted while the chaos event happened. Daehyun wrote the message that would go out to all of humanity. It was simple. At exactly 14 Earth Standard Time tomorrow, do something you have never done before. Change your mind about something important. Make a choice that makes no sense. Break your patterns. Our survival depends on everyone choosing to be unpredictable. That evening, Jinho found a quiet moment alone with Hana. They sat on the roof of an abandoned building, looking at the stars. Up there, the council fleet was waiting. This is all my fault, Hana said quietly. If I had not escaped, the council would not be here. They would not be threatening to destroy humanity. Jinho turned to her. That is not true. They were always planning this. Your escape just moved up the timeline, but it also gave us a chance to fight back. Without you, we would never have known what was coming. Hana wiped tears from her eyes. I am scared, Jinho. What if the plan does not work? What if I lose you? Lose all of you? Jinho thought about his wife and daughter, about the pain of losing them. I was scared too when I lost my family. For years, I just went through the motions of living. But saving you, it reminded me what I was living for. To help people, to make impossible things possible. He took her hand. You did the same thing. You could have stayed with the council, stayed safe, but you chose to help us. That was not in their calculations. That was pure human spirit. Hana smiled through her tears. I'm glad you saved me. Me too, Jinho said. Whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know that saving you was the best decision I ever made. They sat together in silence, watching the stars preparing for the battle ahead. The next morning, Executor Prime sent another message. This time it was directed specifically at Jinho. Jinho Park, the ancient being said. You are the one who saved the hybrid. You are the reason this situation has escalated. We offer you a deal. Surrender yourself, the hybrid Hana, and the resistance leader Daehyun. In exchange, we will show mercy to humanity. We will delay the correction. Everyone in the headquarters looked at Jinho. He could feel their eyes on him. 3 lives for billions. It seemed like an easy choice, but Jinho knew better. It is a trap, he said. They will take us and still destroy humanity. They just want us out of the way first. You are right, Hana said. I can see the probability threads. In every future where we surrender, humanity still dies. This is just manipulation. Yujin checked the time. We have 6 hours until the chaos event. The council is probably hoping we will panic and make mistakes. Jinho made a decision. I am going to respond to their offer. What? Daehyun said. You just said it is a trap. It is, Jinho said. But I'm not surrendering. I'm going to buy us time. I will ask to meet with Executor Prime face to face. To negotiate. They will be curious. They will want to understand why a human would dare to negotiate with them. That is too dangerous, Taeyang protested. Everything we do is dangerous, Jinho said. But if I can keep them talking until 14, no, we might have a chance. Hana stood up. Then I am going with you. No, Jinho said. Yes, Hana said firmly. You saved me. Now let me save you. Besides, I am the hybrid they want. They will definitely agree to meet if I am there. Jinho wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. And something in her eyes told him this was important to her. This was her choice, her chance to fight back. Okay, he said. We go together. They sent the message to Executor Prime. As Hana predicted, the council agreed immediately. A meeting was scheduled for noon on the flagship. Jinho and Hana would have 2 hours with Executor Prime, 2 hours to keep the ancient being distracted, while humanity prepared its desperate gambit. Before they left, Taeyang gave Jinho a small device. This is a probability disruptor, he said. If things go bad, activate it. It will not do much, but it might give you a few seconds to escape. Jinho hugged his friend. If we do not make it back, you finish this. You make sure humanity survives. Taeyang nodded, tears in his eyes. You will make it back. You always do, Yujin saluted. It has been an honor serving with you. Daehyun shook Jinho's hand. You gave us hope. Whatever happens, remember that. You gave humanity hope when we needed it most. Jinho and Hana boarded a small shuttle. As they flew up toward the council flagship, Jinho looked back at Earth. The blue planet looked so small, so fragile. Down there, billions of people were preparing for the chaos event. Artists were abandoning their plans. Scientists were changing their experiments. Families were making spontaneous decisions, all of them choosing to be unpredictable, choosing to fight in the only way humans could. The council flagship was enormous, dwarfing their tiny shuttle. It looked ancient and powerful, covered in glowing Valorian symbols. As they docked, Jinho felt the weight of what they were about to do. They were 2 small people about to face the most powerful being in the galaxy. 2 small people betting everything on humanity's greatest strength, the refusal to accept the impossible. Executor Prime was waiting for them in a vast chamber. The ancient Valorian stood at least 10 feet tall, its body covered in marks that glowed like stars. Its eyes were deep and knowing, having witnessed thousands of years of galactic history. Welcome, Jinho Park, it said. And welcome, Hana, the failed experiment who chose betrayal over duty. Hana stood tall. I chose freedom over slavery. Executor Prime smiled coldly. Freedom. How very human of you. That is your species' great delusion. You think why Jinho stared at Executor Prime? The ancient being expected him to be defeated, expected despair, but Jinho felt something else stirring inside him. Something the council had never understood about humans. You know what is going to happen? Jinho asked. Of course, Executor Prime said. I see all probable outcomes. Then you see that I am going to challenge you to a probability duel. Executor Prime paused. For the first time, the ancient being looked surprised. No, that is not in any calculation. A human cannot survive a probability duel. Then your calculations are already wrong, Jinho said. He activated the device Taeyang had given him. It was supposed to help him escape. Instead, Jinho used it differently. He amplified his own probability field, making himself visible in the threads that Executor Prime could see. Hana gasped. Jinho, what are you doing? Something impossible, Jinho said. Something that should not work but will anyway. Executor Prime stared at Jinho. In the probability field, the ancient being could see something that should not exist. Jinho was choosing futures that made no logical sense, paths that twisted and broke in impossible ways, and somehow those impossible paths were becoming real. This is not possible, Executor Prime whispered. That is what makes us human, Jinho said. We do not accept impossible. At that exact moment, across Earth and all human colonies, billions of people started the chaos event. Artists threw away their paintings and started new ones. Scientists abandoned experiments mid-calculation. Pilots performed maneuvers they had never tried. Families made spontaneous decisions. Everyone, everywhere, choosing to break their patterns. The probability anchors tried to process it all, tried to calculate the futures, but there were too many variables, too many impossible choices. The calculations spiraled into infinite loops. Warning lights began flashing across the council fleet. Executor Prime felt it happening. The anchors were destabilizing. No, this cannot be. But it was happening. The carefully controlled probability fields were collapsing. Reality was becoming uncertain, wild, free. Hana joined her power to Jin-Ho. She was a hybrid, able to see probabilities but also break them. Together they created a storm of chaos that overwhelmed Executor Prime's senses. "Look at all the futures," Jin-Ho said. "Force yourself to see them all at once. Every possible outcome, every probability." Executor Prime tried to stop them, but curiosity was stronger. The ancient being had never encountered anything like this. Against its better judgment, it opened its mind fully to the probability field. And what it saw changed everything. For thousands of years, Executor Prime had seen probabilities, had guided species along predetermined paths, had maintained perfect order. But it had never looked at futures where chaos and order existed together, never imagined that the two could balance instead of destroy. Hana showed the ancient being visions of possible futures. Futures where Valorians and humans worked together, where chaos sparked innovation while order provided stability, where probability breaking was not a threat but a gift that helped all species grow. These futures were impossible according to all Valorian calculations. But Hana existed, proof that impossible things could be real. She was Valorian and human, order and chaos, and she was alive, thriving, helping others. "You fear chaos," Jin-Ho said, "but chaos is just change. It is growth. It is life refusing to be predictable. Your perfect order is slowly killing the galaxy, making it stagnant, making it dead." Executor Prime saw it all, saw how the Council's control had stopped species from reaching their full potential, saw how the elimination of probability-breaking species had removed the universe's greatest source of creativity and innovation. The ancient being had lived for thousands of years, certain it was doing the right thing, and now in this moment it felt something it had not felt in all that time. Doubt. The probability anchors were failing now, overloaded by the chaos event. Alarms screamed throughout the flagship. Council technicians shouted warnings. The reality bomb, designed to forcefully impose order, began its activation sequence. If it detonated, everything within several light years would be destroyed. Humans, Valorians, everyone. Executor Prime had a choice. Activate the bomb and maintain order through destruction. Or do something it had never done before. Something uncertain. Something human. It chose uncertainty. Executor Prime deactivated the reality bomb. The flagship went quiet. Across the Council fleet, systems powered down. The threat ended, not through violence but through a change of heart. "What have you done?" Jin-Ho asked softly. Executor Prime looked at its hands as if seeing them for the first time. "I do not know. I made a choice without calculating all outcomes. I felt doubt, curiosity, hope. These are not Valorian emotions. These are human emotions." The ancient being looked at Jin-Ho and Hana. "You have infected me with your chaos, and I find that I do not wish to remove it." A communication came through. It was Dae-hyun. "Jin-Ho, are you okay?" The Council fleet stopped attacking. "What is happening up there?" Jin-Ho smiled. "We won. Not through fighting. Through teaching." Executor Prime addressed the Council fleet. "This is Executor Prime. All operations are suspended. We are withdrawing from human space. Humanity will be observed, not eliminated. We will study whether chaos and order can coexist. This is unprecedented, but perhaps unprecedented is what the galaxy needs." The message spread quickly. Within hours, every human and every species in the galaxy knew what had happened. The Council, which had never shown mercy, which had never failed, had chosen to spare humanity. But more than that, they had chosen to question their own certainty. To embrace doubt. To become a little bit human. Jin-Ho and Hana returned to Earth. When their shuttle landed, thousands of people were waiting. They cheered and cried and celebrated. Humanity had survived the impossible. Tae-Yang was the first to greet them. He hugged Jin-Ho so hard it hurt. "You did it! You actually did it!" Yujin saluted. History will remember this day. The day humanity taught the galaxy a new way to live. Dae-hyun smiled. "We have received messages from other species. Species that were oppressed by the Council. They are rising up, demanding change. Your actions started a revolution. Over the following months, the galaxy transformed. The Council withdrew from many of its operations. Species began trading directly, forming alliances, sharing knowledge. It was messy and chaotic, but it was also vibrant and alive in a way it had not been for thousands of years. Other hybrids emerged from council custody. They sought refuge with humanity, and humanity welcomed them. Hana helped them adjust, taught them to embrace both their Valorian heritage and their human nature. Tai Yang and Yu Jin formed the Probability Liberation Front. They traveled the galaxy, helping species learn to question deterministic thinking, to embrace uncertainty. Their first mission was to find other probability anomalies like humanity and protect them from the Council's old guard, who still believed in absolute order. Jin Ho went back to piloting cargo ships. He liked the simplicity of it, but now his cargo was different. He carried messages between human and Valorian youth, seeds of understanding, tools for building a better future. Hana stayed with him. She became an ambassador and teacher, helping bridge the gap between chaos and order. She showed other species that different ways of thinking could coexist. One evening, 6 months after the Council's retreat, Jin Ho and Hana stood on a rooftop in Seoul. The city spread below them, full of light and life and beautiful chaos. "Do you ever regret it?" Hana asked. "Saving me? All the trouble it caused?" Jin Ho thought about everything that had happened. About the fear and danger. About facing Executor Prime. About the moment when humanity's survival hung by a thread. He smiled. "I never thought about it. I just did it," Hana laughed. It was a warm, genuine sound. "That is the most human answer possible, and that is exactly why you will change the galaxy forever." Above them, a shooting star crossed the sky. But Jin Ho knew it was not a star. It was another ship. Another cargo vessel carrying another piece of humanity's gift to the galaxy. The gift of uncertainty. The gift of possibility. The gift of refusing to accept that anything is impossible. Jin Ho put his arm around Hana. She leaned against him, comfortable and happy. Two beings from different worlds, united by choice and courage. "What do you think will happen next?" Hana asked. "I do not know," Jin Ho said. "And that is the beautiful part. The future is not predetermined anymore, it is open. Anything is possible." Below them, Seoul lived and breathed. Millions of people going about their lives, making choices, breaking patterns, creating futures that no one could predict. The Council had tried to control the galaxy through perfect order. They had eliminated hundreds of species for daring to be unpredictable, but they had never met anyone like Jin Ho, a simple cargo pilot who made one impossible choice after another, a man who saved a stranger without calculating the odds, a human who taught an ancient being to doubt. That was humanity's true gift. Not just breaking probability, but inspiring others to question certainty, to embrace the unknown, to choose hope over fear. Across the galaxy, species were learning this lesson, learning that chaos was not something to fear. That unpredictability was not a bug but a feature, that the most beautiful things in the universe were